Hi everyone, thank you for joining me in my session on the Cloud Operating Model Showcase here in HashiTalk Africa. It's my pleasure to be here and I hope you all enjoy. Right, who am I? My name is Guy Barros. I'm a senior solution engineer here in the UK and Ireland region of HashiCorp, and I've been part of HashiCorp for the past 4 years. Right, so let's jump in. Come here to right. So before we start talking about the cloud operating model, before we start showing the showcase, right? First, we need to talk about the cloud operating model. What is it? Um, so if we hop on to the HashiCorp website, right? We start seeing everything that HashiCorp does, a lot of use cases, a lot of different um, focus areas, right? And if we come all the way to the top, the solutions, right at the top, we have the cloud operating model, right? And what is it? Right? And this page actually goes into the cloud operating model in much more detail. But in summary, it means dealing with this new world, right, of multiple data centers, of multi-cloud, of change, of dynamic infrastructure, of things that exist and doesn't exist, of variety, right, of constant change and constant improvement. Because it is very complex to deal with that, and it is very hard. Right? And what HashiCorp's focus is and our goal is to facilitate all that. So if we think all about all of the variety, all of the dynamicism, if that's a word, that we have in dealing with multi-cloud or just cloud in general, right? HashiCorp's focus is in removing the barriers from that, right, and facilitating the process from that, and helping you go from necessity to business as usual as easy as possible. And we do that by segregating out these problems into different focus areas of focus, right? And so we can improve them, and so we can tackle the challenges of each of them individually, right? But the problem then comes is that these don't, live in a bubble by themselves, right? And what does using everything together look like, right? And that's the showcase that I have today for you. Right? So, in summary, what is it that I did? Right? I First of all, I had an old project that just creates a shared dev environment, which is our platform, on AWS. It could be Azure, it could GCP, it could be on-prem. No, it doesn't matter. It abstracts away my hardware layer, right? My platform, and provides an easier way for me to deploy my applications, right? This showcase is focused on the application onboarding experience, right? In our case here, I have an API application that uses Nest.js. It's a Node.js, and it uses MongoDB as the backend, right? Um, and it comes out of that, right? It's greenfield. I have nothing, but now I need to, there's this necessity of generating this API. And what the code does, basically, it showcases how a developer can use the HashiCorp solution to facilitate the pipeline itself, to remove the barriers from getting the necessity into production, right? So by using the COM, I'm gonna just run Terraform. Terraform is gonna go off. It's gonna set up my GitHub repo. It's gonna set up my workspaces in Terraform. It's gonna set up my repo in Docker, right? And then from this, it is also on the repo itself gonna set up my templates that I'm gonna use to generate all of this, so I can focus only on developing my application, right? Which then I am going to deploy into Nomad, which is our scheduler, and which is going to create a service into Consul, which is our server connectivity. I'm also going to use Consul to help me do the service reg and services discovery of where Mongo actually is, right? And this is gonna update my load balancer to provide a simple way of my customers and my developers to actually get get contact with my application, right? So let's jump in. It's this one, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead. Um, Before we actually jump in, let me just go in here and see that I have a team repo. No, sorry, a team Terraform Cloud workspace. This is Terraform Cloud. It's great, free to sign up. Try it out. If you're using Terraform, it's like the simplest way of using Terraform, right? And all of this starts off here, right? Palm Showcase. You can see that I was using it before recording or before doing this session. And I have all of my views and all of the different versions of my state files here. Right? And it is destroyed. I have currently nothing running. On my personal organization, I don't have any workspaces in here. And in my GitHub page as well, I just have my Terraform Showcase, which is what we're going to use to create everything else. And in Docker Hub, we only have the nested do app, which I made sure that everything was working before before doing this session, right? So if I come here and then just a simple Terraform apply, right? Oops. Right. While that runs, actually I need to come here because I just need to do HashiTalk Africa. And there it goes, right? It's off. It's creating everything now. So while that happens, right, I also have here my Consul, Nomad, and Vault. All of these have been deployed into AWS, again, using using Terraform from here. Right? And I think what's great about this is that not only does it provide, the visibility of everything that of all of my Terraform projects that I have, but also allows me to do governance and ensure that, everything that I create on AWS is following best practices and my team's policies. Right? Policy checked. Here we go. And we do have the apply finished. Sorry, I'm opening these because I may need their URLs in a little bit because I always get lost. Yeah. Okay. Apply complete. 42 resources created, 0 changed. So now if I come back to my Terraform Cloud organization, Barros, right, and I can now see like all of the different environments, right? They're all errored because they are connected to all of my different repos. But if I come in here and do just simple F5, I can see that there actually hasn't been anything added into it, right? For the version 02 of this demo, I haven't integrated dynamic Terraform resources yet. Right? The idea was to use like a database on a cloud somewhere and integrate that directly, but I didn't get to it. That's for sure I'm going to do in version 03. Right? But let's look at our application directory itself. Right? I don't have a lot of documentation. You can, if you go through the rest of my repos, that is a common thing, and it is an improvement point that I need to make, right? But I do have two things: a template for Nomad and a template for Packer, right? So I'm just gonna hop on to right here to my environment, git clone. Right, and then just clone this new repo that I have in, right? And I'm gonna do cd ht average to and code yank, right? And now by the power of Control C, Control V, I'm gonna develop my application. Right? We'll leave that copying in a minute. While I do everything else. Right? So basically what I did is, right, I'm starting developing. This is homologous to me just developing, right? So all of my CI/CD pipeline has been set. I have done integration, right, with Terraform Cloud. If I look into Vault itself, let me just refresh it. Okay, yeah, my token. So one of the things I do, this is my demo environment. I'm gonna destroy it right after this, but I do the security best practice of having my root token be open to the internet. That's a joke. Don't do that. Never do that. Um, right. And here we go. I have my namespace. Within that namespace, I have already a JWT auth method that integrates Vault with GitHub, right? I have also a Consul secret engine that integrates Vault with Consul, so I can generate dynamic ACL tokens directly into it, right? And I have my policies, which are also created dynamically as part of that onboarding process, right? And I also have just different groups, so I can access the different necessities from different. This is also integrated into Terraform, right? But only via tokens for now. Okay. And I don't remember if I actually, okay, I create a namespace, but I don't deploy into the namespace. That's version 04. Sorry. Okay, right. Let me see how I've been developing. This is, then we don't need this anymore. We can close it. This one, it's this one. Okay, I'm still developing. Sorry, so let me finish developing. So while, I'm getting started, let me just hop on to the Packer. What is it that I'm doing here? So Packer is my image builder. I'm gonna use it to create the Docker image that I'm going to use for this application, right? In the same way that I am using Docker, I could go ahead and create an AWS AMI if I wanted to use EC2 or Lambdas, right? Or I could go ahead and create an Azure image or a GCP image, right? And the great thing about using Packer is that it's the same template. I just add things in the bottom. I don't need to change it. It's not a new technology that I need to go ahead and develop it. And with HCP Packer, you even have a facilitator of using that, right? And the same thing, and sort of the same process with the Nomad file is just a facilitator for deploy, right? And I already, because I know what the outcome will be, right? Because I am creating it by template, I can just say here, I am using a Docker image, and the image is in this repository, right? I even say that my where my MongoDB server is, which is localhost. This is not true, but I will come back to it, right? But I basically pipe in here my environment variable, right? What are these environment variables here, and why don't these matter as such? Because part of the Nomad integration is that integration with Consul, right? And one of the things that I'm using with that integration with Consul, first of all, I am saying I have a service called HT Africa, right, or HashiTalks Africa, that is going to be deployed. So this is the application that I'm currently developing. But I'm also using the service mesh to connect to an upstream destination, and that upstream destination is MongoDB, right? So I am, by no effort at all, except the effort of creating this template, right? I'm saying this template will connect to a MongoDB, right? Now, because this is a showcase, I did this all static, quote unquote, but basically say that I know that this template is done for a Node.js application that is going to connect to a MongoDB. We can do that from more variable, right? We don't need to like hard code all of this template like this. It all of depends on the use cases, right? Now, while that is still running, let's go ahead and take a look at Consul, right? And Consul is my connectivity solution, right? This is where I have, this is where I know where things are, right? So that's not good. Okay. No es bueno. All right. Yeah. So here we could see. Sorry, I have no idea what happened there. Probably just a fluke. But all of a sudden, my services went offline, or there was no connectivity to them. But then it was like, no, no, there is connectivities, and here they are, right? And we can go ahead into Mongo and see, all right, how many instances of Mongos, where are they? And they're all internal. What is the name of the client? I can actually go into the client, right, and see all of the health checks that are there, all of the server instances that are actually part of this client, right? I can see all of the different nodes that make up this data center, this console data center, right, and all of the services running in it. And the same thing from a Nomad perspective, I can see my two jobs are over here running, right? I can see all of the different clients, and I can even go ahead and look at the topology, what's what, where is everything being allocated, right? But what I care for now is this jobs, right? And I'm still developing. And okay, I'm just gonna pause this for a bit while my development finishes, or but the copying we don't need to. This just one. Wait, there we go. Finish recording. I'm just gonna open up a new terminal here. Anything install just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Right. Okay, cool. All right, it's all there. Now that I finished developing, let's say I tested it local, right? Let me create a Packer image of this. Um, Give me just one more second, please. Just need to log in. Let me just. Cool. Now login done. So let's go Packer. Validate my HT Africa dot PKR HCL. This is just make sure that I'm not forgetting anything stupid, but it should be alright. So my tags, latest, and the release version. The release version is the same one that I'm doing over here. Entry point, entry point. So this is just an example for an environment variable that I can throw in here. The configuration is valid, so let's go ahead and build. All right. And then off it goes. Now we should see Docker doing Docker things, right? But all of the complexity, but all of the Docker specific language has been abstracted by Packer, right? The same thing with Nomad. Kind of all of the deploy language has been abstracted by Nomad. And okay, so we're just running. Okay. Right. And all we're doing is just building our image, right? But from a templated word. So if we go back to this image over here, we are at this step right now. Right, we're just making sure. So we've developed, right? We've saw that all of our CD pipeline is there. We saw our namespace, we saw our console, right? We saw our Nomad template, we saw the Packer template. Now we are just building it out and getting ready to deploy, right? Let's say we've done our development, we've done our unit tests, we just want to throw it forward, right? And this is how we do that. So it's gonna upload. It's just now gonna do the process of building it. Again, version 3 of this, I am gonna just throw this back to my CI/CD pipeline. There's no real reason that I'm doing it locally. It's just a matter of time that I just didn't finish my CI/CD pipeline. The runners to actually do the Packer build. It's rather easy. There's no real difference. It's just Packer build, which is not done on my machine. It's just done on somewhere else. All right, so now if we come back over here, build has finished in 3 minutes and 55 seconds, and the images are there. So if we come over here to Docker Hub, you should see an F5. Let's go. There is our new image, right? It was built a minute ago. So let's deploy it. Let me just go ahead and grab this guy. So again, this should be done by our CI/CD pipeline. Lack of time, I apologize. Before it will be a lot better. Let me just set Nomad ADDR. That's set. And then we do a Nomad plan. Just let me see if I haven't again made any silly mistakes. Okay, all good. So we just can copy this. We don't even need to. And there we go. Right, so that's getting deployed. If we go back to our Nomad, we can see it here. If we go back to services, here it is, getting deployed. Right? And we can see all of our different tags. All of these is it's up and running. There we go. All of these are related to the way that I am mimicking a load balancer, which is with Fabio, which is a software-based load balancer that uses Consul as a source. Let's see, Nginx does the same thing, Traffic does the same thing. Even some of like F5, there are ways of doing it. It's called like more well-known load balancer. This is possible to do it with there. Right? If we come into Fabio and just F5 our writing table, we can see it here. And just now to-dos. Okay, I have nothing yet. This is an API. So if I insomnia, and if I just open this over here, and then do this one, if I get sent, there's nothing. But if I create this new task, hello, HashiTalks. I'm gonna send that through. We got an ID, and if you just get it all, there it is. And if we have 5 over here, cool, there it is. All right, wonderful. Just one neat little trick. One of the many reasons why I love Nomad. I have one instance, right? What happens if I want to have more? Well, one of the features of Nomad is dynamic IP. So even though the Docker image itself uses port 8000 to provide an application, Nomad provides an abstraction layer of that. And as we can see here, I only have 6 clients, right? 1 out of 6. Right? Well, one of the beautiful things that I can do is just change the amount of instances that I use. Right? Deploy this again. Sorry, instances. Right? And this will automatically scale all of my applications. And as they pass, they are coming all of the healthy services are coming online, and they will be available from here for my load balancer to use. We won't see it because it's only me, but yeah, and they are all becoming available. Right? We have 8 healthy so far, 15 desired, and they are getting placed. And the more that they get placed, the more greens that they have. We have now 11, 15. If we come back over here, yeah, there they go. Yeah, so it's just a couple of things. Again, the real power of this is the simplicity, right? So even though I had a couple of cuts to just make the session go smoother, the process of setting up our pipeline, right, and setting up all of the integration points and making sure that everything works, that's the calm, right? Removing barriers, that's calm. And if you think about everything that HashiCorp does, it's that it. Right? Now there are some things that I wanted to drop off here. Is that process matters. So kind of what I've shown here today matter less than how, right? Kind of that automated bit, that self-service bit. That's the real power of using the cloud operating model, right? Because using things like Terraform or Vault and still having manual or service-based processes, that's not where the value lies. The value lies in removing those abstractions, in removing the pain points, and making things easier. And collaboration is key, right? Having something as integrated like that doesn't just happen, right? You just doesn't start with everything working, but you kind of keep improving and keep changing and keep collaborating. And constant gradual improvement is better than a big bang approach. And right off the bat, think of dynamic secrets like zero trust, right? Just think of starting a having that MongoDB and getting that MongoDB instead of being static, getting it for a dynamic from Vault or an RDS. When I create an RDS, I already create a secret engine from Vault to grab that secret. Right? The same thing with like cloud credentials, having the least amount of static secrets, the more secure your pipeline will be. The more things that are automated and temporary, the better your process is. The more self-service it is, the stronger it becomes. I hope that was useful. Barros, hope to hear you all once again. It's a pleasure being here. Have a lovely day.